How does an AI agent decide what to do next? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are cracking open the black box of artificial intelligence to look at the sleek, highly structured architecture underneath. If you've ever wondered what actually happens the exact millisecond you hit enter on a prompt, well, you're on the right place. We're going to break down how AI agents make decisions, step by step.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You know, it's incredibly tempting to interact with an AI, see a brilliantly formulated response pop up on your screen, and just kind of assume there's a little human-like brain in there, pondering your question. But actually, that's a total illusion. AI agents do not think or feel their way through a problem like we do. Instead, they follow a really rigid, highly logical decision-making pipeline. And understanding that exact pipeline is literally the key to mastering how to use them.
Let's start with Section 1. How do AIs actually think? To understand the advanced agents we're using today, we first need to look at what they are not doing. Check out the left side here. A simple old-school chatbot is basically just a really fast parrot. It's just guessing the next word in a sequence without any deeper plan. But on the right? Now that is an AI agent. True intelligence comes from analyzing the input, evaluating options, and choosing a path before it ever generates a single word. It's the massive difference between just talking and actually plotting a real course of action.
Moving right along to Section 2, the decision-making pipeline.
Let's see how this builds, because this is where the architecture gets really fascinating. Here's the high-level loop powering an agent. It all starts with you sending a prompt to the LLM. But here is the absolute magic. Instead of just spitting out an answer right away, the data hits a decision node. The AI pauses, decides what action to take, and only after that action is complete does it finally formulate a response. And this entire looping flow happens under the hood in mere milliseconds.
Which brings us to Section 3, Step-by-Step Agent Reasoning.
Now that we have the 10,000-foot view, let's zoom right into the exact engine driving this whole process. There are exactly 5 steps an AI takes to process your request. 1. Understand input. 2. Evaluate options. 3. Choose action. 4. Execute action. And 5. Generate final response. We're going to trace the path of your data through these 5 exact steps right now. And keep in mind, this incredibly complex sequence repeats for every single interaction, over and over.
Step 1 is all about understanding. The model reads the user request and parses the intent. It's not just looking at the raw words, it's figuring out what you actually want. Are you asking it to calculate a massive spreadsheet, or are you just looking for the latest sports scores? This foundational step absolutely dictates everything that follows.
Now, what's really interesting here are steps 2 and 3, evaluating and choosing. Look at these 3 branching paths. The AI has to look at your intent and make a hard choice. Should it just answer directly from its training data? Does it need to call an external tool? Or should it retrieve a stored memory about you? Selecting between these 3 paths is the absolute core of AI decision-making.
All right, once the path is chosen, we hit Step 4, Execute Action. This is where the AI rolls up its sleeves and actually does the work. If it decided it needed a tool, it fires off a command to an API, maybe running a web search or opening a calculator. If it decided it needed a memory, it searches its database. It is actively executing a task in the background.
And finally, Step 5, Generate Final Response. Only here, at the very end of the pipeline, does the AI actually talk back to you. It takes the result of whatever action it just executed, combines it with your original input, and packages the whole thing into a clear, natural language answer.
Let's ground this a bit in Section 4, Real-World Agent Scenarios.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept. Let's apply this mental map to some actual prompts you might type today. If you just ask, what is 2 plus 2, the decision node recognizes no tool is needed. It just answers directly. Boom, done. But what if you ask for the weather in Kuala Lumpur? Well, it realizes it needs real-time data, so the action shifts entirely. It calls a weather API. And if you ask, what do I like to study, it triggers the memory system to pull your stored preferences. 3 totally different prompts, 3 completely different architectural pathways.
So why does all of this matter? Let's look at Section 5, Why Decision-Making Matters.
You might be wondering, why go through all this trouble instead of just letting the AI guess the answer? Well, because without this exact pipeline, the system is just guessing. Forcing the AI to logically evaluate options allows it to use external tools. And because it's retrieving actual hard data rather than just generating plausible-sounding text, hallucinations absolutely plummet and accuracy skyrockets.
And honestly, you are already interacting with this architecture all over the place. This is exactly what is powering modern AI assistants, workflow automation tools, advanced customer service chatbots, and those complex agent-based systems that are completing multi-step tasks for businesses every single day.
But, as with any new technology, it is really important to objectively understand its limitations. This process is incredibly powerful, for sure, but it isn't flawless. An agent can completely fail if the decision node picks the wrong branch, for instance, selecting the wrong tool for the job. It can suffer from incorrect reasoning during that evaluation step, or it can fail simply because it's missing the necessary context from you, the user. It's a massive leap forward from simple text generation, but the architecture absolutely still relies on clear inputs to function properly.
So the crucial point is perfectly captured right here. AI agents don't just generate text, they choose actions. If you take away just one thing from this explainer today, let it be this fundamental shift in how we think about these systems. They are decision-making engines first and text generators second.
Which leads us to a pretty fascinating question. If this step-by-step reasoning pipeline is so advanced, why do AI agents still sometimes fail? And more importantly, how do we fix them? There is an entire science to troubleshooting these branching pathways. But for now, I'll leave you with this thought. If AI systems are no longer just predicting words, but are actively choosing tools and executing actions, what happens when they choose an action we didn't anticipate? Think about that next time you hit Enter.